Now that we've looked at simple pricing strategies, we're going to look at some additional pricing strategies and some of that are more complex. And these occur when you can price things differently, such as the pricing complements or substitutes, or we might have add-ons, bundling, and tying. These are simply ways to generate more revenue. So these are good for revenue management. One example is pricing substitutes. Let's say you have two items. You've purchased a company that the product they sell is really a substitute for yours. Imagine electronics equipment or electronics retailer purchasing something where the one item is more elastic in demand than the other item. And if these two are substitutes, with one is a lower markup, more elastic demand item, by raising the price in this market, you can generate more revenue by driving people to the high markup items. So here we have in the low markup, high elasticity demand market, item sells for $2 and 150 units are being sold. In the more inelastic high markup market, the items are selling for $4. By raising the price to say $2.75, you sell fewer units in this market, but that drives people over to the more inelastic high markup market, and you're going to generate more revenue and therefore more profit. In this case here, the $160 plus $67.50 exceeds the $120 that's lost in the market by reduced sales. So you get in the high markup item, you're generating more revenue by increased sales. In the low markup, more elastic market, you are increasing revenue by raising the price, although you're decreasing the sales from fewer units being sold by 120. In the end, the 160 and the increased market share from the market on the right, the more inelastic demand market, plus the 67.50 from the higher price and the low markup market on the left, is greater than the 120 you lose from the reduced sales. So this is a way of pricing substitutes. An example of this is restaurants within the same city merging with similar products. Local newspapers that have differential ad rates. A larger newspaper buys a smaller one. You want to generate more people, more revenue in the more inelastic market, raise the price of the ad rates in the the more elastic market. Now, what about pricing complements? We have a similar situation here. The prices are set at $2.75 and $4, and in this case here, you want to do the opposite. You want to lower the price in the complementary market to drive people in the low markup market to drive people to business over in the more inelastic high markup market. And in this case here, again, we're seeing that the increased sales are greater than the $67.50 loss from lowering the price in the low markup market. And you can see this with things like printers and cartridges, razors and razor blades, Polaroid cameras and films, concessions at amusement park. We see this oftentimes with concerts. The artist will sell their ticket way below the market value, and that's why you have scalpers, and that draws more people into the venue who end up buying more inelastic items such as posters and T-shirts. Health club with a daycare. Lower the price on the daycare to attract more people and raise the price on the healthcare membership. So you're profit maximizing across two different goods in both of these markets. For the case of substitutes, you want to lower the price. In the case of substitutes, you want to raise the price in the more elastic, low markup market, and that drives people to the higher markup, more inelastic market. When you're pricing complements, you want to lower the price in the more elastic, low markup market, and that drives people to the higher markup, more inelastic market. And again, we looked at gasoline prices, and that's one thing they do is they lower the price of the gasoline to draw people into the gas station itself, who then go inside and purchase things like soda and water for astronomical prices. We want to look at bundling music as well. Music tended to be in CDs or record albums, which would have 11, 12 songs per album, sometimes even more. And if we look at a typical demand curve, the firm sets marginal revenue equal to marginal cost. Now, in this case here, we're looking at online music, and given that the marginal cost is zero of distributing music, the marginal revenue equals marginal cost is at zero. That happens when 5 songs are being sold, and we see that the songs are selling for $1.15 each. The consumer buys 5 songs. This is the producer surplus because it's also the producer's total revenue. But the producer is giving up some things. He's giving up consumer surplus here. This is the added value to consumers from buying the 5 songs that does not go to the retailer. And they're also losing this area here. This is gains from trade. This is value to the consumer above and beyond the marginal cost to the producer of distributing 5 more songs. So one thing that record companies do is when they bundle a CD, they simply charge one fee to get all 10 songs, and therefore you're buying songs that you don't really value as greater than $1.15, but they can still get you to buy them all, and they've reaped the total of consumer surplus from the consumer, the total surplus from the consumer, and now they're making $11.50 for selling the 10 songs that consumers buy. The consumers get zero surplus out of it. The producer gets all the surplus. So this is the idea of bundling, is to simply bring in a bunch of different goods that people would not normally buy individually, and they buy them as a bundle, and you're able to reap more consumer surplus. Bundling also happens in something like Office Suite. So let's say we have 3 customers. We have Harry, Sally, and John. Harry really wants Word, but doesn't really care about PowerPoint and Excel. Sally really wants Excel, doesn't care much about PowerPoint and Word. And John wants PowerPoint, doesn't really care much about Word and Excel. And we can look at their value for each, what they're willing to pay. Word is, Harry would be willing to pay up to $100 for Words. Sally would be willing to pay $10. John would be willing to pay $20. If they priced at $10, they would sell $30 of Word software. If they priced it at $20, they would get $40 because now only John and Harry would buy Word. And if they priced it at $100, then they would get $100 because now only Harry would buy Word. So their best option is to price Word at $100 and only Harry will get it. And then we have Excel. They could do the same thing, the exact same example here. Pricing at $100, only Sally would get it. And if they price PowerPoint at $100, then only John will get it. And so pricing the 3 separately, they end up with $300. The Microsoft ends up with $300 in total revenue, $100 from Harry buying Word, $100 from Sally buying Excel, and $100 from John buying PowerPoint. But another option is to price the whole bundle at $130 each, and now all 3 will get it, and now Microsoft has reaped $390 in total surplus from selling these items. Again, we're assuming there's zero marginal cost from distributing these, but this is the idea behind bundling, is you're getting consumers to purchase items that they wouldn't necessarily buy alone at a certain price, but if you can bundle them together, you can give consumers what they want and extract all the consumer surplus from them. Tying is somewhat similar, and tying simply is an issue where when you buy one good, you also then have to purchase the tied good. One example of this was IBM used to require, when they used to have card readers, that you had to buy the punch cards from IBM. Tying was deemed illegal from antitrust regulations, but you do see tying all the time. College campuses, you have food services. You get admitted to college, you pay your tuition, you're required to buy the food service plan. Country clubs require that you have a minimum monthly payment for meals. Advertising, this is true with the Super Bowl. If you want to advertise during the Super Bowl, you pay, of course, a large fee to do that, but many times the networks also require you to purchase smaller ad space at off times, so you're getting a combination of the Super Bowl and some off-market competition that the networks weren't able to sell alone, but they can bundle it with advertising for the Super Bowl. Another thing we look at is block pricing, and this is selling a block of the same item for one price. Now this is similar to bundling. Bundling happens to be different products. Block pricing is a similar product. So if you look at something like Coke, Coke will sell a 6-pack for $5.10, and we'll see that the marginal value of the 6 can is 85 cents. So if you're looking at what people would buy, a 6-pack is simply one way if Coke can sell a block of goods. Instead of selling them individually, they simply put them in a 6-pack and sell them 85 cents each, or $5.10. But how do they get consumers to buy 6 more cans? And if you notice, 6-packs really aren't the norm now. We see more in 12-packs. Part of it is we do demand more, but another way of doing this is simply using the 12-pack to extract all the surplus from the consumers, and now consumers are buying 12 units for $7.80, and the soda manufacturer is able to reap all the surplus above its 20 cents marginal cost per can of producing soda. that's the end of this additional pricing. We'll now look at the price discrimination as well.